that we are live and that everything's working and that we're connected.
All right.
And all that good stuff. Right? We're good?
Everybody's waiting.
Everyone's waiting. We are Chromeo, the Funk Lords. Apologies for this technical glitch, but we, it seems, are back on. Right? And as we've said before, we will be discussing production tricks, synthesizer talk, drum programming, songwriting, and all that good stuff.
MIDI programming.
Live with you guys on as a Twitch here at our studio in Burbank, and the studio is called The Private Sector. So the first song we're going to discuss today is actually a song we produced for another artist that we released last Monday on our very own label. The artist is called Ian Isaiah, and the song is called Princess Pouty, that you can see right here. Hold on. There we go. Wait, does it look like I'm looking at it? Oh, other way? No, other way. Here. Oh, there.
Yeah.
Let's both point at it.
Your face is hidden behind the graphic. There you go.
All right. So, does it look like I'm looking at it?
Yes.
All right. So here we will be discussing this song, which came out last Monday, which is a funk song that we just put out on Juliet Records, our very own record label. And it is called Princess Pouty by a terrific artist from New York called Ian Isaiah. The song is out everywhere on all platforms, so you can listen to it as you please. So let's get into it right now. Let's see here. We will open the session. As you may know, we work on Cubase, and it looks a little bit something like this. Aha! There we go. So here we are on Cubase. This is our program of choice. For those who were not with us last time, the reason why we use Cubase is it's really good for MIDI programming, and we do a lot of MIDI with our hardware synthesizers, right, Pete?
Yes. Our
Okay.
analog synths.
Yeah.
Nothing in here is after 1985.
So, wait, I just looped this, guys. So this is what the main, I'm going to mute the vocals here. So this is what the main groove sounds like. Oh, sorry, the computer's waking up. Don't worry, that's just a sound card issue. Okay. So that's the main groove. Wait, can I see the chat? Alright. Cool. So that's your main groove. Let's make sure everybody can hear it. Everybody's good on the chat, Toopy? Maybe, perhaps. So that is the main groove of the song, and we're going to show you how we put it together. So when we first started the demo for this song, we had an original drum loop. So what we do is, I guess, before we program our own drums, we'll start with like pre-made loops, I guess we could say.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes
a lot of our work is done before we even start any songs or any ideas. We put together, you know, samples, loops. We listen to old records, find drum breaks,
chop up drums
that we can then use to either have a loop so we can start writing with instead of wasting time and programming something. If we have an immediate idea on just a quick loop, we can make a skeleton of the song, and then we later replace the drums.
Exactly. So that we're actually going to show you guys how we did that. So
this song is a perfect example of that process, because there are many different processes.
C's. So
processes.
We had we have what we call writing loops, and you'll see it right. There's one right here, and so we just stack these two loops. May I? Mm-hmm. And then. So sort of a basic funk thing. And then, because you know, another thing is we had the artist in the studio with us on that day. So when you have the artist in the studio with you, you want to be able to kind of work fast, work on the fly, and then dress it up more later.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to go into fine details of production right away. You want to get the song written first. So this is a really quick way to get going in 5 minutes. So
we had 2 loops, but we don't like using loops on the final product. So we'll show you guys how we substitute it and everything. But let's start. And then we had this idea of like doing kind of a gap band type of song that's just like revolving around funky drums and a bass. Right? All right, so this bass is done on the Korg MS-20, am I right, Pete?
Yes.
And
which is behind us right here.
And we're going to show you guys how we made the sound. This is not a bass that we programmed on MIDI. This is played and edited afterwards. So
yeah, the MS-20 doesn't have MIDI.
Let us show you how we go about making a sound like this. So, yeah. P, your turn. There we go. All right. So this is not the sound, obviously. I'm gonna go back to a sort of very simple bass sound. I want to see the chat. Nothing crazy here. Just a little decay down. There you go. All right. This is a very simple 2 sawtooth oscillators. I want to make sure they hear you. You said what? You said sawtooth oscillators?
2 sawtooth oscillators. One at 32, one at 16.
What does that mean? What
it's
does that mean?
The width of the wave. It's how low your octave goes.
Okay.
So basically, this is the low oscillator at 32. This is the high oscillator at 16. Put both together.
All right. So essentially, this was the idea here. I'll just mute the bass. You can play it. That's how you make funk music, kids. All right, so that was the basis of the song, right?
Yep.
And then we went in, we recorded the bass, which you have here, straight into the computer.
We can maybe mute it and see how.
Mute what?
Solo the MS-20 bass
sure.
with the drums. That's literally.
That's kind of what the song looks like. Yeah. Alrighty. So that's the main riff, and then we dressed it up a little bit with some.
I think we started with the Juno.
Yep, with some Juno chords. Yep. And as you guys know, we work in MIDI. So here we write the name of the patch, Juno chords MIDI A11, and then. Love the Juno, sounds great.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we layered something else on top of that.
With the Prophet, with the Jupiter.
No, P5, Prophet 5. All right, I think it's sound number 22, P.
Let me tune it.
Let's watch you tune this thing. There we go.
Yeah.
Say hi to the camera. Sound number 22, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Let's hear that. So we had MIDI here. Ah. All right. So this actually brings us to one of the first things we wanted to discuss with you guys today, which is how to layer keyboard sounds or synth sounds, right? Like when we first started producing, we didn't have that many synths to choose from, but we didn't really realize, we wanted a funk patch, and we were like, okay, give me a sound that does beep, and that was enough for us to make a song. But then as we progressed, we realized the power of layering different keyboard sounds to kind of create texture together. And obviously these are analog sounds, so they're already very rich. You don't need to stack 10 of them, right?
Sometimes too rich when you want to stack.
Yeah.
And the process for patches, for those who are also interested, kind of the same that we do with drum loops and drum sounds. Everything is done in advance. We prepare, synth sounds, patch sounds, bass sounds, and we have just a library of stuff saved in the synths or saved in our brains, because some synths don't have patch memory.
So usually, like for a song like this, I came up with the bass line and I was like, P, make me a and P had to right away, he knows what that's going to be, so he can dial it in fast.
Yeah.
And then I'll be, all right, P, we need chords that'll go like, we have those sounds in our head, so it's easy to dial in. So
Yeah.
I think what P is trying to say is that there's a lot of prep work needed, especially when you've got an artist with
Very
you.
Jam and Lewis, yes.
What do you say?
Very Jam and Lewis, yes.
That's right. All right, and then another thing, as you guys can see here, you've got the Prophet. So I'm going to go out of MIDI. I mean, I think we've shown you guys the MIDI before for those who were with us. We write the chords in MIDI very often, or sometimes we write them live and then we'll quantize them in MIDI so that they're super tight. Yep. All right, and so the Prophet 5, correct me if I'm wrong, P, but I know I'm not wrong, is mono, am I right?
Yes.
The Juno is stereo, am I right?
Yes.
So basically, the idea is you're stacking one stereo sound that'll be fairly wide with a mono sound in the middle. The mono sound is a little more piercing. The Juno is wider and warmer.
Yeah.
And so you have that nice stack that's really, really simple. Watch. Duk, duk, duk. Drums, maybe?
Yeah. You can't hear the full stereo effect like this, but
another thing we'll show you guys is that we don't put any effects, barely any effects. This has just a simple little EQ, that's it. And the other one, the Prophet 5, has EQ, Tal chorus, which kind of widens it a little bit, and a Valhalla reverb. That's it. We told you guys this last time, for those who were with us, we keep the effects very, very, very minimal, because when you've got a beautiful sound to begin with, and when you've done your homework of preparing dope sounds, you shouldn't have to like clean them up or polish a turd or whatever they call it with all kinds of fancy effects. Anything else you want to add, Pete?
What else do we have in
I
the
was
song?
I was going to talk about how we substituted the drums on this section,
Yeah.
and then I was going to go into like how you
We
did.
have a whole other section.
Yeah, I was going to go into how you did the very fancy layering of synths.
Yeah.
But maybe we should go
Whatever
into
you
the drum.
whatever
groove.
you just heard here is 4 of the elements of the song, which is all you should need to write a song.
At least a groove, a groovy
A groove,
song.
a bass line, chords,
Yeah.
whether it's on the guitar or on the synths, the chords should give you the progression so you can have something clear to write to.
So like, just to make this clear, right, we're going to reactivate our sort of basic loops. So that is 2 synthesizers, one bass, and drums.
Yeah.
And then we added guitars that you'll see right here. Let me just make them bigger. Boom, boom. We love to pan our guitars left, right. So. Here they are. That's it. That's really it. The guitars just accent the synths. For those who wonder if we use any fancy guitar amps, not even. Compressor. The guitar goes direct. Compressor, guitar amp plug-in, reverb. Yeah. That's it. Nothing fancy. And I think we've had this conversation before, but there's two go-to guitars. Actually, I don't know where the Les Paul went, but on this one we use the Strat. So this is our go-to funk rhythm guitar. Mm-hmm. And if it's not this, it's a Les Paul that we can go get if need be. Right. So the guitar's hard panned left, right, by the way. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. 100 or whatever, hard pan, you can see that.
100 left, 100 right.
100
You
left,
do 2
100
takes.
Stack them. And then I guess you added what's called Jupiter effects on the Jupiter 8. I'm not even... That is funk. That is garden variety funk music, my friend.
Little Jupiter 8 stabs.
All right, so you've got a groove, and now we're going to show you guys. Before we even get to the sort of the rest of the song, I think we should show everyone how we go from drum loop to actual drum programming. I want to see what the people are saying. Finding that you have a weekly stream, this makes me happy. When you say homework, do you mean the music theory kind of stuff? Not a lot of theory yet. We're going to talk we're going to talk some theory on the other song. But here it's just, when we mean homework, we just mean preparing all your stuff in advance, right?
Preparing your references, preparing your sounds.
Your patches.
Ideas.
We don't
only 2 guitars and 2 bass guitars. No, just 2 guitars, 1 left, 1 right, and 1 synth bass in the middle.
Yep. So, all right, this is an issue. Okay, so first of all, everybody out there that makes production, that makes beats or whatever, if you want to use drum loops, be my guest. It's all good. They sound great. We're like old school hip hop purists. This is like something we've always had. We always felt it was kind of cheating to use pre-made drum loops, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why we're like this, P. We just are. We always thought it was a little corny to just have a pre-made drum loop. Now, if you make house music, if you're like A-Track and Armand Van Helden, you're doing loops all day. But for us, we always wanted the satisfaction of knowing we programmed the drums ourselves.
Yeah, and having, a special sort of, a special sequence that nobody's thought of before.
A pattern, you mean?
A pattern, yeah.
Yeah, because also, by the way, if we were to put out a song with a certain drum loop, and you guys could find it on Splice or whatever, it means
our job is not done.
Yeah, our job isn't done. We're here to kind of provide people with sounds, not use stuff that's out there already. All right. So point being, we had these 2 loops, and obviously the groove on these 2 drum loops is pretty good. Like, it's infectious, How are you gonna top that? This is hot.
This by the way is a loop from a disco record.
Right. It's 2 loops, right?
Yeah.
Actually, we have this one here.
That's the main.
Yeah.
That's a disco record.
And then we got this one here.
That's a splicey sort of thing.
Yeah. We're going to get rid of all that. And this is where the hard work begins. Because we got to have something that's as groovy as this, but that we make ourselves. So what we did is we combined...
Also... better quality.
Yeah.
Because a lot of loops are a bit dirty and they don't quite do the pattern you want them to do.
And they're not gonna thump the right way, I find.
And even if you switch the sounds around and chop them up, the flow is never that good. The dynamics never work out well.
Yeah.
So you start from scratch.
So one of the big things we wanted to talk about today is drum programming and doing it, Chromeo style.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we've got those two loops. They sound amazing. What we ended up doing is we ended up combining live drums and drum samples that we programmed and stacked and layered up until everything sounded hot. So we're just going to show you guys. First of all, we basically found another kick that had a lot more low end. You guys can't hear it up there, but this has got low end for days. We boosted a little bit low end.
You can actually see it.
Yeah.
You can actually see the low end of
Yeah.
It's really going hard on the...
50K?
Yeah, no, on 82K.
82K, excuse me. Can you put the normal sets back?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Then we added a live kick that we recorded in the other room, in the live room.
Which one day you will see.
You will absolutely see it. There's nothing on it, and it sounds kind of cheap on its own. It sounds terrible, but it adds a little bit of air when you stack it onto, look. It just adds a little bit of natural feeling, right? So now you've got your kick. It should also be said, somebody said Jam and Lewis, that drum pattern, that boom, pa, boom, boom, pa, pa, boom, boom, that is like Minneapolis Funk 101. Right, Pete?
Yep.
Okay. So, all right, so you've got your kick pattern, and then we had a snare. Compression, verb, a little bit of low end. That's it. Obviously, it's not enough, so we added a live snare, which also by itself sounds terrible. Cheapo.
Just for texture.
But again, the two together just adds a little bit of, So now we've got this. Then I was like, you know what, P? Would it be cheating if we took the snares and the claps from the original loops, not the whole pattern, just let me have a little something from the original? P was like, okay, we can do it. So here, we isolated the snare from the OG loop. That's why we called it snare layer OG loop. And we called it clap from OG loop. And you can see them right here, right? So those are the original. So we added those on top. There we go. Look at this thing. All right. Cool.
Yeah. And by the way, using one of the snares from the original loop is not unlike the way we got this kick.
Right, because
The main kick.
we chopped it from a record. Or
because
something.
a lot of stuff are also chopped from records. It's just you choose a record that sounds the best and the fullest.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't always mean that loop from the record will sound good enough to...
You mean the loop in its entirety?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're basically, we're editing, we're taking what we like the best. Alrighty,
It's a treasure hunt to find good single sounds.
Now we've got a kick, we've got a snare, we've got some claps, and I was even like, I remember I was like, you know what, let's just take a little bit of the hi-hat from the original loop, or from one of them, and see how that sounds. So, you barely hear it, but it's in there. Cool. It's already pretty groovy, and it's a lot meatier than what we had before.
Yeah.
But we were missing something. We were listening to our Gap Band reference, which we're not going to name because it's too obvious, and maybe someone will call it out. And in the Gap Band reference, which was kind of like the song that was inspiring us on this one, there's a live, the drums are live, and there's a real bright, noisy hi-hat on top.
On top of everything.
So we went to the other room, and we basically tracked me, who playing, fairly clumsily, a live hi-hat on top of everything. And basically, we just recorded this.
Again, just texture.
Where is it again? Oh yeah, here it is. And then, we did sort of a basic EQ on it because it was kind of dirty. And when we put that in there, I feel like that really sealed the deal because we got something thumpier, brighter.
Let's play the loop.
Groovier. You want to play the new pattern?
Let's do complete pattern.
All right, cool. So let's play.
We can do it before and after.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's our hi-hats. Let's get all our snares in there. Snares. And then there are kicks in there.
Let it whip.
All right. Woo! All right, tell me which one grooves the most. This is the new drums. I'll put the bass in. Compared to the old drums, which we had before. Hold on. I'm doing it quick. Tick. All right, the old joints. To me, that's clunky. All right, so that's how we got rid of the old stuff. I'm just going to put them in tiny, minuscule here. Oh, what happened? I'll put them in small. And we're going to go back to our new shit. Yeah, right. Sorry. So here we go. Let's mute those guys. If you guys want to hear what the vocalist did, Ian Isaiah, his name is, let's put his vocals in there. Got to lose when you got a lot to prove. Mama's baby, daddy's baby. You're a victim of your own mind. Mama's baby, daddy's baby. All right, cool. So now we've got our main groove, very minimal, dressed up, but just enough. The drums are groovy, and we'll get back into songwriting mode real quick, if you guys don't mind. And we will basically show you how we built the bridge of this song. Okay. So I'm just going to loop a new section here. So you've got your main part. Wow! Power. So that's a pre-chorus, if I've ever heard one. I don't know any music theory, but chord-wise it sounds like a sort of variation on 4-5-6. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that means, but I've heard enough to know. Yeah. It's a sequence of 3 chords that just has that power element to it. And so now that the drums are done, P, I would love to show them kind of how we built that structure, that combination of chords and of sounds to get a thick thing going. And I mean, again, it's only 3 things, right? But basically you've got you guys remember Mastercraft? When we first came out, there was a friends of ours called Mastercraft, and they had these amazing fuzzy bass synths. That makes me think of them. Right? Yep. Then we stack it with some chords, of course, which we have right here. I'm just going to pull out the MIDI, right? So this is A11 on, I guess, I don't know what Juno this was.
This Juno number 1.
Look at no effects. EQ and little Valhalla, that's it. So one layer of chords, but then you've got another one that is P5, Prophet 5. Again, they're written in MIDI because we want to keep it real clean. So Prophet 5. Wow, we used sidechain. We never use sidechain. I hate sidechain. That's not true. I don't hate sidechain, but we don't really use sidechain like that very often. Am I right, P? I guess we wanted just a little pumpiness. Get the bass back in there. So right now we've got MS-20 bass, we've got Juno
Pre,
and we've got Prophet 5.
So keep in mind when we say we're stacking.
Sorry, I'm just watching.
When we're stacking synth sounds, when it's a synth bass, the synth is part of the bass is part of the synth sounds. So you have to keep that in mind when you're layering stuff.
Because the bass takes up so much room.
It takes up so much room that you kind of have to work your synth layers around it.
Right. And then we added what we call the Elka, which is one of our favorite synths. It's the Elka Synthex. It's over there, and the sound is called M16. The patch is M16. We called it Elka Magic because it's like this. Little flutter. Again, nothing too exotic on the plugins front. We've got an H delay and we've got a Valhalla. That's it. So easy, so basic. Yeah, I don't know that many plugins, so I just use the same 5. And basically that, what's this? Oh, crash cymbal. Okay, who cares? Same drums, more or less. Different pattern on the live hi-hat, but essentially
same sounds.
Same sounds, yeah, definitely. And yeah, it goes like
you'll
this.
see later in the song.
Oh, what were you gonna say, P? Sorry.
Later in the song, we switch drum sounds.
Yeah.
But you'll see the bridge.
All right, so that's your pre, and obviously the vocalist Ian Isaiah did beautiful stuff on here.
Don't leave me on if there's no one to take me, 'cause I can't do this right anymore. Don't fill this cup if you're not gonna drink me. You're not the only person in the world.
That pre is a little bit sweet, so when you go back to the chorus, we're going to go back to the original riff of the song, and we're just going to dress it up. But we want to make sure when you get out of that pre, you want to get back into the tough guy shit, right? Into the mucho macho. So.
Not the only person in the world. Princess Pouty. Princess Pouty. Princess Pouty. Princess Pouty. Princess Pouty.
Pretty simple. So the music is the same as the verse. On the chorus, we like to add a couple of extra things that feel quote-unquote chorusy to lift things up a little bit. On the rhythm side, we added a clap and some shakers. That clap is bananas. Nothing on there. Right? So. Synths are the same. You've got your Juno chords, which were there before. You've got your Prophet 5 that was there before. We added one layer in the chorus, which is a Jupiter 8 sound. The Jupiter 8 is over here. It's a very, very powerful synth that's super wide. Again, basic EQ and reverb. That's all we needed. So that stacks on top of it. And then that's it. And a little... And then you got your guitars. That's it, man. Pure groove with a very limited amount of synths, just enough to create very rich basic layers, maybe like 3 synths at a time. And as you can see, very limited amount of plugins too, right? Mm-hmm. So let's hear how that sounds again. That's that little shaker, adds a little dancey, and then I clap. And essentially, that's the song, right? You've got a verse, a pre, and a chorus. Anything you want to add, Pete, before we get into
then we have all these little, synth bits, synth licks that come in here and there. I think they were all on the Jupiter 8.
Yep.
All these little things that come in towards the end when we've pretty...
Yeah, very, very P-Thug. Those are P's signature things. I kind of just let him do his thing, and I'll come in and edit them, but that's really his specialty. So same thing. Then you get out of the chorus, you get back into your verse. All right, then you're going to go back into your pre. Back into your pre. Obviously, you just heard a little bass fill, right? We're going to make it feel a little bit less boring. It's not going to be a copy-paste thing the whole time, so... Right?
Yep. And you got those little drum fills too come in.
Yeah, those are the classic little. And that's pretty much all you got. Fairly minimal production. We've got one little layer that comes in here, one little layer there. Tension building. So again, I would say this is fairly minimal.
Yeah.
And
even though you're seeing a lot of stuff, keep in mind everything that's in red here
is MIDI.
Is MIDI with its respective audio on the bottom.
Yeah.
So these are doubled pretty much.
And then, basically we were like, okay, we gotta flex a little bit. And at one point in the song, we need to kind of dress this up and put in some time. And so we wrote the chords to the bridge when Ian was in the studio with us, and it was roughly the same chords as the pre, with a couple of different variations.
But with different voicing.
But it's still that 4/5/6 thing, right? So, for instance, you still had this thing here. Pretty simple. But then P, I wasn't there. P decided to dress everything up and almost create like another mini song within the song. Oops, sorry. Sozy.
No.
I got it. Oh yeah, one thing you guys should know, we both have we both have mice.
And keyboards.
We both have a mouse and a keyboard. So we both work together with a mouse and a keyboard, and that's why sometimes we kind of we bicker over the cursor. But I think Pete did something really beautiful here. And again, usually the way we'll work on a section like that, where there's a lot of synth work, is I'll have him kind of mock something up, and I'll come in and edit, right? So here, we almost did like a song within the song.
Yeah.
Right? The drums change.
The vibe changes a bit.
Everything changes.
It's a nice little break from the, in-your-face bass line.
From the gap band shit, basically, right? So it almost goes into this kind of Disney,
Tyrese / Disney.
Yeah, exactly. So watch. So
back to the funk.
Yeah. So let's go over what's going on in here, because it's almost like a mini song within the song. And if you look at the arrangement, there's more stacks of synthesizers here than in the rest of the song. Because you really went for
this lush,
magical lush thing. So first of all, we've got different drums altogether, because our original drums were way too powerful for this. So we went to our trusty drum tracks, which, is it on? Maybe we should turn it on real quick. I also want to see what people are saying. The vocoder plugin, does he see no plugins? We don't use plugins much. Talk box. What are people saying? The breakdown is amazing. Oh, Ian is so lucky. What's the BPM? BPM is 121. What effects on Ian vocals? Basic, compression, reverb. Okay.
Finished off with CLA vocals.
Yep, probably.
For demos.
All right, so the drum tracks is a... Well, wait, can we see it from the other spot?
There's no MIDI for it, though.
No, but can we see it over there?
No.
Nah, no, not really. It's hidden. Okay. It's basically a cheaper version of the Lindrum, and we use it because it's really easy to have access to, and it's sort of like, it reads MIDI, it's super simple.
Yeah, it has native MIDI, which makes it a bit easier than having a mod on an LM1 or something like that.
So we did those halftime drums with the drum tracks.
Yeah.
Reverb on everything, and just basic EQ. And then we went into battery, which is here. And I mean, this is when we're talking about homework here. Pete, make this jumbo so they can see really what's going on here.
Yeah.
Make this jumbo so they can see all this shit. Right. So when we talked about homework earlier, when I'm like, P, I need a wood block. He's got 100 different wood blocks that he's gathered over the last 10 years, 15 years of fucking wood blocks, for us to find the perfect wood block so that it doesn't sound, straight out of the next guy's splice pack. No shade if you're using splice packs. We use them too, but I don't know. There's something to be said about having like an original library of sounds.
You can see our library is organized by
go-gos, congas, cowbells, loops, electro-disco rimshot, shakers, snaps, tambourines, triangles, woodblocks, and there's like 100 of each inside, you know? Again, 10, 15 years of gathering this crap. So we added battery sounds here on top of our drum tracks. Ooh.
Those toms were sampled from Clear.
All right, cool. So you've got your drums, which are beautiful, and you changed the MS-20 bass a little bit in this section. If I'm not mistaken, you filtered it. then we've got layers. We talked about synth layers. So we got a P5, the Prophet 5 on top of this. I'm actually going to mute the drum so you guys really hear this layering of the synth sounds. Now, we're kind of purists. If the whole song is built around Prophet 5 and Juno, we're going to have the Prophet 5 and the Juno on the bridge.
Yeah.
We have to do it. We have to keep some sort of consistency.
Yes.
So,
if anything, we'll switch the sound a little bit, we'll filter it, we'll unfilter it,
Yeah.
change the envelopes, give it some release,
Yeah.
but the core has to
Yeah.
stay the same throughout.
So, boom. So we've got MS-20, we've got Prophet 5, the Juno is back. You added a Prophet 5 Solo 11, which is another patch on there. Here we go. Some little, that's a nice layer. You added that kind of little shimmer on top. We probably, no, we didn't even EQ it, nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, yes, we did, sorry. Cut off some lows, added some highs. Oh, you can't see that, sorry guys. There we go. Cut off some lows, added some highs. And then that's it. CLA, plug-in, EQ, and reverb. Again, nothing much. And now we get into what P calls the little magic fairy dust. This is, I don't want to say cheesy, but it's the cheesier, you know, the sort of Fantasia vibes. So this is the DX5. P, can you show us the DX? Can we just plug it in real quick?
Yep.
So the Yamaha DX5 is it's the cousin of the Yamaha DX7, and it's the most quintessential 80s synth, right? You could say the DX7 is. The DX5 is a little cooler, a little gradier, but this is the Kenny G fake Rhodes, you know, sort of
The electric piano patches.
Yeah, I mean, give us some real. There you go. Oh. Baby, I love you. That kind of thing, right? Anita Baker, Babyface. Wait, can I see the chat real quick? Anita Baker, Babyface, you know, all that kind of late 80s, 90s R&B, Yamaha DX7, and we've got a slightly better version called the DX5. So we added that in there. And then we added more little, again, when we're talking about layering here, more little magic fairy dust. And check out how all the layers play against each other. Guitars. I mean, come on. If this doesn't make, this is like an 80s version of Aladdin meets
Lion King.
The Lion King meets Fantasia meets Anita Baker meets Babyface meets Kenny G. And it was our choice to kind of go extra sappy to sort of compensate for the super tough guy vibe of the song. And then from a production songwriting standpoint, Ian, our vocalist, did something very emotional here. So we're going to come out of the chorus in is some funky music, if we may say so ourselves.
Yes.
And so we talked about drum programming, keyboard layering, how to make a bass sound, and sort of how to build a track that is mainly that runs off a very simple bass line, and then how you dress it up with some chord changes and stuff. So
There you go. That's the complete song.
Yep. Beginning to end, Princess Pouty by Ian Isaiah. Wait, let's go back to our... And then why don't we put the cover back up over here? Oh! Princess Pouty. Does it look like I'm talking to it?
Yes.
Princess Pouty by Ian Isaiah, which came out on our very own label last week, Juliet Records. Phenomenal vocalist that we love, and it's out now, and you can listen to it and basically hear what you just heard today. Let's now... Oh my God, look. Wait. Hi everybody, I'm Ian.
That's exactly his voice.
Let's now go to another song. We got about 15-20 minutes left, and we would love to show you another song that is way more simple than this, and in which we broke one of the cardinal rules of Chromeo production. All right, so let's try that. This next song is a song from our Quarantine Casanova EP, which is also out now. Oh, really? Okay. Wait. From our Quarantine Casanova EP, which we put out a few months ago. Here we go. There we go. Now I'm a real YouTuber. Which we put out a couple of months ago, and we raised over $20,000 for COVID relief in Black and POC communities through your very generous purchases of merch and physical copies of the EP. These are songs we made really, really fast at the beginning of quarantine and confinement here in LA. We just kind of freestyled the lyrics and created this quirky little EP for you guys, just so we could all cheer each other up, or ourselves up, however you want to call it. So we're going to break down a song from this EP called Stay in Bed and Do Nothing. I'm not going to get into the lyrics too much. We kind of, and the production is really simple. But we broke a cardinal rule of Chromeo production on this song because we used plugins. Why? I don't know.
This is wasabi peas.
Why did we use plugins? I'm not sure. I think P will have the answer, but check out the beat. Can we take this off? Obviously an homage to one of our favorite producers of all time, the almighty, the godly DJ Quick. So it's got a very West Coast feel.
And Battle Cat.
And Battle Cat, that's right. And so this is a very, very, very simple song in which it's just kind of a loop that repeats over and over again. So as you now know, the drums are all kind of chopped from from different sounds that we sampled and collected over the years. So I'm just going to go over the drums really fast. Kick, small kick, MPC snare, clap, hi-hat. So triangle, and what P called hi-hat grit, which I love. It's this thing right here. I think this ties the whole drum programming together. Which is what, like a chopped up loop?
It's a chopped up loop.
Weird, dirty sounding, but look how nice it sounds all together. And then on top of that, for a bass line, you use the P6, the Prophet 6, right? Which we like because it's a little more modern.
It's a bit modern, but it still has that warm analog sort of low end and feel.
added some very West Coast kind of percussions.
Yeah.
Flexi tones. There we go. This song literally has, like, drums aside, it has 4 instruments. So we've got the P6 bass, that's right here. We've got the, and then you've got 2 pads. You've got a Juno. I don't know if you want to load it again. It's B18 on the Juno one. So that's what it sounds like. You did something very strange, very unusual, very surprising, very shocking, very controversial. You used a plugin, which arguably is the best plugin for keyboards, but still, you used...
For electronic pianos and mechanical keyboards, yes.
You used the Keyscape.
Keyscape Rhodes.
Oh, it doesn't get bigger? Okay.
No.
So that's the, so the Keyscape Rhodes. What made you choose this, Pete? What made you choose?
Just like when we have pre-made loops for drums to go fast and right, I have go-to Rhodes that I just write with.
Because the Rhodes is in the other room. Because
it's in the other room. If you have an idea right away, you want to get it down, you want to change the voicing, you don't want to run, if you're alone, you don't want to run between room to room. I start off with the Keyscape on that song, to see if we even liked the demo.
Yeah.
And if it's worth switching the Keyscape to the real Rhodes for it to sound a bit grittier and fuller.
I never knew the difference, so I never asked you to change anything.
Yeah. It just happened that it sounded good, and for that sort of production,
you
want it to sound a bit straight, a bit cold,
Yeah, because it's a West Coast vibe, so you
in 1995 you would have had, something similar to a plug-in or a Rhodes on an,
okay.
on a Triton or something.
Right. Motif.
On a motif.
That is it right here. All right, but you did something even more unusual. For the little G-Funk lick, you also used a plugin, and you used an MS-20 plugin, so...
Which...
We've got an MS-20 right here, right behind us. Why didn't
I use it?
Yeah.
Because this sounded better to me.
Huh. See, there's no rules.
In 1996, you would have used an MS-2000 or something very, very digital and
cheap,
very cold sounding to do that sort of stuff. It's almost like,
It's like, you know what it is? If you had used the real thing, it would have sounded like the Ohio Players.
Exactly.
And you wanted something that sounded West Coast.
E40, like E40 or
vibes,
Warren G.
I get it. So that's what we did. And by the way, that's all there is.
That's it.
So we got about 8 minutes. I kind of want...
That little sound makes the song.
Yeah. Well, it's in the details, right? So, all right. So I just want to go over the fact that for this song, we barely have any instruments. And if you layer your keyboards properly, which is what we talked about in the previous session, if you layer your keyboards properly, you don't have to stack 100 different sounds. We have 2 keyboard layers. We've got the Keyscape and the Juno. We've got 1 bass from the P6, the Prophet 6. We've got the little MS-20 riff, and that's it. We've got drums and percussion. That's all there is. And in our humble opinion, it sounded good enough and full enough to complete, to basically make a song out of. The last thing I want to talk about, and then maybe we'll answer some questions, is so this is largely, I mean, Princess Pouty was a song that we really did together from scratch, and that was like an idea that I came up with for the bass line. I remember singing the bass line for you, and you know, this, on the contrary, is a song that you really worked on yourself, and so I wasn't even there when you started it, and I just want to, I don't know if anybody out there plays the piano or plays the keyboards, but I find...
Play the piano.
I find the chords very beautiful, and the very beautiful chords in this song. And so here we are in the MIDI. And I just wanted you to break them down, or at least show us what you're playing, because they're, even though the song is like some G-Funk, Warren G, DJ Quick stuff, the chords are actually pretty deep jazz chords.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got, I wrote them down, you've got B11, G sus2, B flat diminished, and B minor 7.
Yes.
Right? So
11.
Do you want to...
Yeah. So this is the first chord.
So that's B11.
That's B11. You can see that's the root up to the 11th here. And the next
G.
one with a sus2.
Yeah.
And then, in my opinion, the chord that makes the whole thing come together as a sort of like a G-Funk.
Why does that make
sample
it come, why?
record?
Why does that make it come together? Why does that chord? What about it gives you that sort of thing?
You know, a lot of the Warren G record has, you know, Michael McDonald samples.
Yes.
And these are the chords that come up a lot.
So what,
that
like
sort of
yacht,
progression?
Yacht rock? Would you say that's like a yacht rock kind of chord progression?
It's a sort of yacht rock connecting chords.
Okay.
That I thought would sound great in there and make it sound like, you know, fully, as if somebody in 1996 would have sampled a Michael McDonald record to make a G-Funk record with.
Right. So play the 4 chords one after the other.
So.
It makes me think of also like Bill Withers, Just the Two of Us or something.
Same DNA.
Yeah. And I have one last question for the people like me who don't know theory, because I'm usually like the ear, you know, I'll tell you, but you know the theory and how this stuff works mechanically.
Yeah.
So it's basically B11, G sus2, B flat diminished, and B dominant and B minor 7, right?
Yeah.
But I just hear B, G, B, B. But then the roots, there's 4 different roots, right? Root notes?
Yes.
So you're not paying, it's not just two, it reads like 4 different chords.
Yeah, the voicing will make it sound, even if you're staying on the same bass,
right?
The voicing will make it sound like another chord. So
we should make we're gonna make an episode of the Funk Shop on chord voicings. We should do that.
Yeah.
All right, and then you have it. We've got 4 minutes before we dip, so why don't you guys fire off some questions real quick, and we'll try to answer them rapid fire. I know there's a bit of a delay here, but we'll try to answer. Yeah. All right. So cool in the gang. I don't know what to say about that. All right, let's see. Oh, we should also say that you guys should follow, Subscribe to our own channel, Chromeo Official, on twitch.tv/Chromeo Official. But we will be back next week for another episode of the Funk Shop here on Amazon Music, Amazon Music's Twitch channel. But let's see if you guys got questions. I don't know any music theory. I go by feel and ear too. That's my vibe. I guess maybe what makes our band stand out is that there's one theory person and one ear no theory person, and we sort of complement each other.
There's only one thing that you really use when you know theory is to put the ideas that you have in your head, you can voice them out quickly.
Somebody asked P we haven't talked about the TalkBox today, but what patch do you use on the DX100 for the TalkBox?
So I use a very simple sawtooth. I have Roger's patches.
Wait, you have Roger Troutman's patches?
I have Roger Troutman's patches on my DX7, but I don't use them. I just like to have them there. We'll do a whole thing on that one day.
Yeah, we'll also do a Funk Shop on TalkBox.
We'll do the story on how I got those patches.
Right. All right, what do we got? You guys clearly love minimalism in production. What has been the most complex production you've made so far? Our last album. So on our last album, if you guys want to hear Chromeo doing complex production, listen to Head Over Heels. These are songs that have 80 tracks of music because we wanted to work with other producers. So you've got, our production, some other producers' production, blended in together. We kind of added stuff. That's like a real collaborative album. So we did kind of very, very complex sessions.
30 seconds to go.
But anyways, more on that next week and the following week and the following week on another episode of the Funk Shop. See you later, oscillator. Are we done? Almost. Oh, wait, hold on.